Hi everybody, my name is Mr. Evans and I'm Head of Politics here at Northgate Sixth Form. The purpose of this video is to introduce you to the A-Level Politics course. We follow the EdXL specification, which is a 2-year linear politics course. I cannot stress enough that no prior knowledge is required to study politics. Although obviously if you've got some sort of interest in a political party or you feel passionately about a political issue, that's only going to help. Politics is examined by 3 written exams that sat at the end of year 13, and these are made up of predominantly essay questions. Some of them have a source, others don't. The year 12 course is very much focusing on UK politics, whereas the year 13 course very much focuses on USA politics and compares America to the British system. People and Politics looks at a range of different political issues in the UK and looks at how political the UK is as a country. It looks at ways that you can get involved in politics, and that includes both political parties, but also broader ways you can get involved, such as signing a petition, taking part in a protest, or perhaps joining a pressure group. We look at what it means to be democratic, what are the features of a healthy democratic society, and we look at issues such as turnout to general elections, membership of political party, membership of pressure groups, and also how interested people generally are in politics in Britain. We'll also study the history of political parties in this topic, focusing particularly on the 2 old parties, that being the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, looking at how those 2 parties have evolved and changed over the course of the last 100 years, different leaders who have influenced the ideologies of these parties, and where these parties are right now, which is something that's quite interesting because politics is very much a topic that you can watch on TV in the evening. So essentially by watching the news, you're reading around the A-Level Politics course. We're also going to look at the history of elections in the UK, how an election works, what is first past the post, and compare it to alternative models for running an election that they might use in different parts of the UK or different parts of the world. We're also going to look at pressure groups in the UK. What are pressure groups? How are pressure groups different from political parties? And are pressure groups such as Black Lives Matter a better way of getting involved in politics, looking at one specific issue, rather than joining a party which often has very general views on a lot of very general issues? Finally, we're going to look at voter patterns and behaviour in the UK, looking at how your age might influence the kind of party that you vote for, or perhaps looking at the way that your ethnicity or the kind of geographical area of the UK that you live in, again, might influence your political preference. For the second half of Year 12, we study a topic called Governing the UK. And this is a more technical topic, looking specifically at Westminster and the institutions of power in the UK. For example, looking at the role of the Prime Minister and the relationship between the Prime Minister and his or her cabinet. We're going to look at some really important famous prime ministerial case studies here. For example, looking at Margaret Thatcher, Tony Blair, or the current Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. We're also going to look at Parliament, how Parliament works. What is the difference between the House of Lords and the House of Commons? Which is more powerful, and what's the relationship like between the 2? We're going to study the UK's constitution and look at some debates around the UK's constitution and understand how the UK's constitution has evolved since Magna Carta in 1215. And finally, we're going to look at the relationship between these different institutions, what we're going to call the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, and look at how these 3 are interrelated and interconnected. In Year 13, we study Comparative Politics, namely America. This study of politics in the USA includes the US Constitution and federalism. We look at the role of the US Congress, the powers of the US presidency, how the US Supreme Court works, and the relationship between the US Supreme Court and civil rights, democracy and participation in the US, and also comparative theories of US and UK politics. Finally, we also look in Year 13 at some different political ideologies. The 3 big ideologies that we're going to look at are liberalism, conservatism, and socialism. Some people ask, what do politics lessons look like? And that's quite hard to answer because politics lessons are very varied indeed. Sometimes politics lessons will take place on a whole class basis. The teacher might introduce you to a new political theory, a new political party, or introduce you to a case study in quite a lot of depth. Politics naturally lends itself to debate and discussion, and while politics is not a debate club, There are going to be lots of debates and discussions that you can have. Sometimes in politics, you're going to work in a small group. This might be doing some research or preparing a presentation or a handout with your peers that you can share with the rest of the class, perhaps focusing on a single case study of a general election or a pressure group in the UK. And finally, in politics, as with all A levels, there is quite a large element of individual work, whether this is preparing, planning, and writing essays, reading around the subject, or simply reflecting on a piece of feedback that your teacher's given you in order to improve. If you have any questions, please get in touch. My name again is Mr. Evans, I'm Head of Politics, and my email address is s_e@northgate.suffolk.sch.uk.
Hi, I'm Anna and I used to go to Ipswich High School.
Hi, I'm Ella and I went to Northgate High School.
I'm Sam and I also went to Northgate High School. I chose politics because I've always had an interest in current affairs and the way that things work and why they work that way.
Similarly to Sam, I've also always been interested in current affairs, and I think it's a really important thing to study and look into further.
I chose politics because I've always been interested in how our system of society is run and how we can change things. I think politics is a really interesting way to get through to that. I really like my politics lessons because you really spark up some really interesting debates and everyone bounces off each other and the whole class really works well together. It's really interesting.
I enjoy politics lessons because I think the kind of people that take politics are really interesting to have conversations with and talk about the things that come up when you study politics.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think that the level of debate fosters a really interesting atmosphere in the classroom. And the course is really engaging as well. Kind of looking at ideologies is something that I'm quite interested in.
Yeah.
After Northgate, I'm planning to go to university, probably to do history, and I think politics is really going to help with that because those are two subjects that go really well together. You know, it's important to know how things are and why they are the way that they are, and it's also going to help me with my essay writing skills.
I'm also looking to go to university, and politics is definitely one of the courses I've been looking into.
I would like to go to university, definitely to study politics and possibly politics with philosophy, looking into maybe Edinburgh, somewhere like that, just because it's got really good courses and there's quite a lot of interesting things you can go on to do afterwards.